Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of the Career Advice You Never Had podcast, where I provide you the career advice, education and support you missed out on in your career journey. I'm your host, Angela, and today we'll be exploring you and your career. I really appreciate you listening today and sharing your stories, questions and experience on socials and email. To know you are listening and how I can shape this podcast for you means the world. So let's get into it. I'm guessing you're listening to this podcast because you're thinking about your career. Maybe you're considering a change, looking into your options. Maybe you're curious about your next step or even navigating a new beginning. Most people automatically then start thinking externally, digging out the old resume, making plans to update it, thinking back to the last interview and start scrolling through job boards. This is when the overwhelm, overthinking and doubt starts to creep in, and you can begin feeling lost, stuck and directionless. So let's take a step back, and instead of looking externally, let's begin with you and turn it inward. Lay the foundations, get you really clear on where you're headed and what really matters as your first step. I'm a big fan of taking stock. It's a snapshot of where you are now and to show you that starting point. Even if you've been with me in a recent workshop or career counselling session, I'd still love for you to take stock. Begin by thinking about the word career. What comes to mind for you? Do you call it a career, what you do? Are you at the beginning, the middle, towards the end? Are you at a crossroads? And are there any words or metaphors or feelings that come to mind when you think of the word career? You want to be able to bring your awareness, these thoughts and feelings as you contemplate this with no judgment. The more honest you are with yourself, the more you can begin to initiate change. Now let's get into the rating. Using a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not so good and 10 being amazing, where would you sit your career at the moment on this scale? Consider the number that you're thinking of, or maybe you wrote it down, and check in. Is this how I'm really feeling? If you're sitting at about a 7, that's a really safe number. So I want you to reassess. Will you move it down to a 6 or up to an 8? And how am I really feeling about my career at the moment? Now you've got this final number. This is your starting point. And how does it feel? Where would you like that number to be in 6 months or even a year's time? And if you'd like to start bringing that number up, then you're in the right place. I'll be sharing tips and strategies along the way, and you can plan for your next step by the end of this podcast. When it comes to your career, have you ever thought about who or what has shaped your journey? Has there been an influence from your family, from the school you went to, your teachers, your friends, the area you grew up in, the financial times, or society as a whole? And what beliefs do you hold about careers? In the past, careers were more predictable, relatively stable and linear, with the emphasis on a lifelong job. Stay till you retire. This required a more passive approach and may have involved matching, someone telling you what was a good fit or what to do. Whereas the emphasis is now on you. Careers are much more personal, dynamic. You need to be flexible, adaptable as you navigate multiple transitions through the ups and downs of this non-linear journey. This requires us to be the self-manager of our career. No one else can do it for us, and sadly, no one showed us how. To be a self-directed lifelong learner, to be self-sufficient, responsive to the labour market, responsible in our own career exploration, decision-making and development. These are all skills we need to build. They require a whole lot of understanding about ourselves and our strengths, our interests, our values, wants, beliefs, stories we tell, aspirations, and about how to make a career decision. As well as all this, we do have to also understand industries, job titles, resumes, LinkedIn, interviews, how to job seek today, personal branding. And without this knowledge, we can find us repeating old patterns and staying in jobs longer than necessary. The amount of times I have people of all ages ask me, What do you think I should be doing? What would suit me? This podcast will provide you with the tools to build the skills needed to be able to answer that question yourself. There's a powerful image that comes to mind. This is based on the systems theory framework by McMahon and Patton that really looks at the dynamic, holistic interaction between individuals and the wide range of influences in one's environment, especially when it comes to career development. You can look at it by Googling the image and typing systems theory career development. I'll do my best to describe it. Imagine a circle. This represents your career development. Within this circle, right at the center is you, your individual, unique self. And within this circle are all the parts that make up you, your age, your personality, your interests, your physical attributes, your belief, your gender, your skills, and so much more. There's an outer layer that are all the influences, your family, the media, community groups, peers, the workplace, historical trends, and also so much more. There are lightning bolts on this image to represent chance events that happen in your career and life. And the finer layer represents the past, present, and future. This is your career development map. This shows us how complex and interconnected your journey has been up until this point, what has shaped your career, and will also in the future. Let's make sure that you are at the center of your career, that unique individual with many parts. I speak to so many people, and myself included, where there have been times that at the center of your career was someone or something other than you. Maybe it was your family or a tradition, society, what you should be doing, or based on a past you. Maybe those chance events took all your focus and felt like it took you off path. Once again, I'm here to remind you that careers these days are about you and placing you at the very center. That means stepping back into, or for the first time, being the self-manager of your career. To be a self-manager means taking a proactive approach and responsibility for all aspects of your personal, professional, and career development. It involves actively steering your career trajectory, making strategic decisions, creating a vision for the future, and taking actions towards the person you've always wanted to become. I can spend a whole podcast talking about what it takes to be a self-manager in your career. For now, let's focus on the one thing you have control over, and that's your awareness around your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, and behaviors. You've already started this by taking stock of your career, and let's continue by reflecting on what has shaped your career. Now, let's take that moment to reflect. How have your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and beliefs evolved over time? And as a child, what were the influences you grew up with that have shaped your career? Did this change in your teenager years or young adult life? And now, as the person you are, has this continued to change? I'd love to hear your stories and experience. In the show notes, I'll put these reflective questions and links to my socials, email, where you can contact me, and let's keep this conversation going. There are many people who haven't had the career advice they needed along their career journey, and I'm here to provide it. Thank you again for listening. Your support is amazing. You are amazing. I look forward to bringing you the next episode. I'm at a time in my life when. So stay tuned as I share my first guest's career transition story. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And together we'll navigate this journey as you find your way, rediscover yourself, and focus on taking the next meaningful step in your career.